The world held its breath as news spread of the surprise attack. Nations prepared for war, and fear gripped the hearts of people everywhere. In the command center, Alex Thompson and Mia Johnson worked tirelessly to respond to the unfolding crisis. The air was thick with tension, and the screens flickered with images of destruction. Alex. "They are hitting key military bases," Mia said, her voice steady but urgent. "If we don't act quickly, we could lose everything." Alex nodded, focused on the map displayed before them. Red dots marked the locations of attacks, while blue dots represented their remaining forces. The numbers were dwindling. "We need to regroup our forces and counterattack. We can't let them gain any more ground." Mia's fingers flew over the keyboard as she accessed satellite feeds. "I'm tracking their movements. If we can anticipate their next move, we might have a chance." As they worked, a general burst into the room, his face pale with worry. "Alex, we need your strategic mind. The enemy is advancing faster than we expected. Our allies are falling back. Gather all available troops and prepare for a defensive position," Alex ordered. "We will hold the line." The general nodded and hurried away, leaving Alex and Mia alone. They exchanged a glance, both realizing the gravity of the situation. The world was on the brink of chaos, and they were at the center of it. Meanwhile, the Zorathians observed from their ship, hidden in the shadows of the moon. Commander Lyra watched the humans with a mix of fascination and concern. "They are reacting with remarkable speed," she noted. "But their emotions are clouding. Their judgment—" Kor, her second-in-command, replied, "They are driven by fear and pride. This can lead to reckless decisions." Lyra considered this. "We must continue to watch. Perhaps there is still a way to help them without revealing ourselves." Back on Earth, the attacks continued. News reports showed images of destruction, with cities burning and people fleeing. Alex and Mia worked late into the night, analyzing data and adjusting their strategies. The pressure was immense, but they kept pushing forward, determined to protect their people. As dawn broke, a new day of conflict began. Alex stood in front of a group of military leaders, laying out his plan. "We cannot simply react to their attacks. We need to take the initiative. Mia's weapon can disrupt their technology, giving us the upper hand." Some leaders were hesitant, fearing the consequences of using such powerful technology. "What if it fails?" one general asked. "We could put our own troops at risk." Spoke up, her voice firm. "We must trust the science. This weapon is designed to disable their systems without causing harm to our soldiers. It could save lives." After a long debate, they agreed to use Mia's weapon. Alex felt a rush of hope, but also fear. This was a turning point. If they failed, the consequences would be dire. As they prepared for the counterattack, Alex and Mia felt the weight of their choices. They gathered the troops and explained the plan, emphasizing the need for teamwork and bravery. The soldiers listened intently, their faces a mix of fear and determination. "Today, we fight not just for our land, but for our future," Alex declared. "We will show them that we will not back down." With the sun rising behind them, the forces moved out. The atmosphere was electric with anticipation. Alex and Mia took their positions, ready to lead their troops into battle. The enemy was advancing, their forces strong and confident. As they approached, Alex activated Mia's weapon, sending a pulse of energy toward the enemy lines. For a moment, everything froze. Then chaos erupted, as the enemy's technology began to fail. Vehicles halted, and communication systems went dark. "Now is our chance," Alex shouted, rallying his troops. They charged forward, taking advantage of the confusion. The tide of battle began to turn in their favor, but as they fought, the reality of war hit hard. The sounds of gunfire and explosions filled the air. Alex watched as his soldiers faced danger head-on, their bravery shining through the chaos. Mia worked alongside the technicians, monitoring the weapon's effects. "It's working. We're gaining ground," she called out, her voice filled with excitement. Yet deep down, she felt a pang of fear. Each pulse of energy represented destruction, even if it was aimed at the enemy. "We must be careful not to push too hard," she reminded Alex. "We don't want to escalate this further." As the battle raged on, the Zorathians continued to observe from their ship. Lyra was impressed by human resilience, but also troubled by the violence. They are fighting for survival, but at what cost? She pondered. Korr replied, "They are driven by emotion, which can lead to both great strength and great folly. We should consider intervention if this escalates further." As the hours passed, the humans began to push back the enemy forces. The sight of their flag waving high brought cheers from the troops. Alex felt a surge of pride but also a heavy weight on his heart. Victory, however, came at a price. The battlefield was littered with debris, and the cries of the wounded filled the air. Alex and Mia moved among the soldiers, offering support and encouragement. They saw the faces of brave men and women who had fought hard, but were now struggling with the reality of war. "We must help them," Mia said, her voice filled with compassion. "We can't just leave them here." Alex nodded, his resolve firm. "We will provide medical assistance and ensure that everyone gets the help they need. We are not just warriors. We are humans with a duty to care for one another." As they worked to assist the wounded, a sense of unity formed among the troops. They shared stories and experiences, finding strength in each other. Alex realized that despite the chaos, there was hope in their shared humanity. Meanwhile, the Zorathians debated their next move. Lyra felt a growing urge to intervene. If we do nothing, they may destroy each other. But if we reveal ourselves, we risk panic and fear, Korr suggested. Perhaps we can make contact in a way that does not frighten them. They need to understand that they are not alone in this universe. As night fell, the battlefield quieted. The fighting had ceased for now, but the war was far from over. Alex and Mia stood together looking out over the remnants of the battle. "This is only the beginning," Alex said softly. "We need to prepare for what comes next." Mia looked at him, determination shining in her eyes. "We will find a way. Together, we can help humanity rise from this chaos." In the shadows of space, the Zorathians watched, knowing that the fate of both Earth and their own future rested on the choices of humans. The storm was just beginning, and they were ready to witness the outcome. The sun rose over the battlefield, casting light on the destruction left behind. The sounds of war had faded, but the aftermath was heavy in the air. Alex Thompson and Mia Johnson stood among the ruins, surveying the damage. They had won a battle. But the war was far from over. As they walked through the area, they saw soldiers helping the wounded. Medics worked quickly, providing care to those who needed it most. Alex felt a mix of pride and sorrow. Their victory had come at a great cost. He knew they needed to prepare for what was next. "Mia, we need to regroup," Alex said, his voice steady. "We have to figure out our next steps. The enemy will not sit idle after this." Mia nodded, her expression serious. "We also need to address the toll this is taking on our people. Morale is low, and many are afraid of what lies ahead." They returned to their command center, a temporary base set up in a nearby building. Inside, the atmosphere was tense. Military leaders and advisors gathered around a large table, discussing their strategy. Alex took a deep breath and stepped forward. "Listen up, everyone," he began. "We have won the first battle, but we cannot become complacent. The enemy will retaliate. We must be ready." The room was silent as he spoke. Mia's weapon was effective, but we need to ensure that it is used wisely. We cannot let our power turn into destruction. A general raised his hand. "What if they strike again before we are prepared? We need to take the offensive." Alex understood the fear behind the suggestion. "I agree, but we must balance offense with caution. We need to protect our civilians and avoid unnecessary bloodshed." Mia chimed in. "We should also reach out to our allies. They need to understand the situation and stand with us. Together we can build a stronger front." After much discussion, they decided to send messages to allied nations asking for support and cooperation. They hoped that unity would strengthen their position and help maintain peace in the long run. As the day went on, news of the battle spread across the globe. People reacted in different ways. Some celebrated the victory, while others mourned the loss of life. The media reported on the events, showing images of bravery and destruction. Alex knew that public opinion could sway quickly. They needed to manage it carefully. Meanwhile, in the shadows of space, the Zorathians continued to observe. Commander Lyra watched the humans with growing interest. She was impressed by their resilience, but worried about their capacity for violence. We have seen their strength, but also, the sun rose slowly over the battlefield, illuminating the scars of war. The ground was littered with debris, and the air was thick with the smell of smoke. Alex Thompson stood on the edge of the camp, surveying the scene. His heart was heavy, with the weight of what had happened and what was yet to come. Despite their recent victory, there was no time to celebrate. The enemy was regrouping, and they would not stay down for long. Alex knew they needed a new plan to turn the tide for good. He gathered the military leaders and Mia Johnson in the command tent, where a large map covered the table. "We cannot wait for them to strike first again," Alex said, pointing to the enemy's positions. "We need to take the fight to them. We have the advantage of surprise, and we must use it." Mia folded her arms deep in thought. "If we can deploy my energy weapon again, we can disrupt their communication and command systems, but we must time it perfectly." The generals nodded, understanding the urgency. "What's your plan, Alex?" one of them asked. "I propose a two-pronged attack," Alex explained. "We send a small team to create a diversion while our main force hits them from the other side. If we can catch them off guard, we might break their morale." The room buzzed with agreement. They all understood that this was a risk, but it was a necessary one. The stakes were high, and they needed to act quickly. As they finalized their strategy, Alex felt a surge of determination. This was not just about winning a battle, it was about saving lives and protecting their future. Mia looked at him with a mixture of hope and concern. "We need to be careful, Alex. If we push too hard, we could create more destruction." "I understand," he replied. "But we cannot let fear dictate our actions. We must show them that we are strong." Days passed as they prepared for the counteroffensive. The soldiers trained hard, and the atmosphere shifted from despair to hope. They were ready to fight for their homes and families. On the day of the attack, the air was tense with anticipation. Alex and Mia stood together, watching as troops moved into position. "We can do this," she said, her voice steady. Alex nodded, feeling the weight of her words. "Let's make sure we fight smart and protect our people." As the first light of dawn broke over the horizon, they launched their attack. The soldiers moved swiftly, following the plan that Alex had laid out. The diversion team created chaos, drawing enemy fire and attention. Meanwhile, Alex led the main force around the flank. Where they would strike the enemy's command center, Mia remained behind, coordinating the use of her energy weapon. "I'm ready when you are," she communicated through the radio. Her voice calm despite the chaos. Alex's heart raced as they approached the enemy lines. He could see the confusion in the opposing troops. "Now, activate the weapon," he ordered. Mia pressed the button, and a wave of energy shot out, disabling the enemy's communications. Alex watched with a mix of relief and awe as their advantage grew. The enemy was thrown into disarray, and the humans pressed forward, but the battle was fierce. Even in chaos, the enemy fought back with determination. Alex felt the weight of responsibility on his shoulders as he led his troops into the fray. He could hear the sounds of conflict all around him: shouts, gunfire, and the clash of metal. Suddenly, Alex spotted a group of enemy soldiers regrouping. They had taken cover behind a barricade and were preparing to counterattack. "We need to push forward," he yelled to his team. "Don't let them regroup." The soldiers surged ahead, fueled by adrenaline and the need to protect one another. As they charged, Alex felt a deep connection to his comrades. They were not just fighting for territory, they were fighting for their lives and their future. In the heat of battle, Mia monitored the situation from the command center. She could see the chaos unfolding on the screens. "Stay focused, everyone. We can't lose this momentum," she shouted, her heart pounding. Back on the battlefield, Alex and his troops fought valiantly. They moved as a unit, covering each other and pushing further into enemy territory. The tide was turning, but victory was not yet assured, as the hours Past, the battle raged on. The enemy fought fiercely, unwilling to back down. Alex felt fatigue setting in, but he pushed through, driven by the hope that they could end this conflict. Suddenly, a loud explosion rocked the ground. Alex turned to see a plume of smoke rising from the enemy's command center. What just happened? He asked, confused. Mia's voice crackled over the radio. I fired another pulse. It disabled their main weapon systems. We need to move in now. Let's go, Alex shouted, rallying his troops. They charged forward, determination surging through them. As they approached the command center, he could see the enemy struggling to regain control. With renewed strength, Alex led the charge. They breached the barricades and fought their way inside. The air was thick with smoke and tension, but they pressed on, determined to secure the victory as they fought their way through. Alex caught sight of the enemy commander, a tall figure with an intense gaze. The commander was rallying his troops, trying to maintain control. Alex felt a surge of determination. Can't let him escape, he yelled to his soldiers. In a final push, Alex confronted the commander, exchanged blows, each determined to claim victory for their side. With a swift move, Alex disarmed him, forcing him to the ground. Yield, Alex demanded, breathing heavily. The commander looked up, understanding that the battle was lost. With a nod, he raised his hands in surrender. The remaining enemy soldiers dropped their weapons, and cheers erupted from Alex's troops. They had done it. Against all odds, they had turned the tide of battle. As the dust settled, Alex felt a mix of relief and sorrow. They had won, but the cost was high. The battlefield was still filled with the echoes of conflict, and the scars of war would remain. Mia joined Alex, her face a mix of exhaustion and pride. We did it, she said, her voice filled with emotion. But at what cost? Alex nodded, understanding the weight of her words. We must focus on healing now. We need to ensure that this never happens again. As they surveyed the battlefield, they realized that the fight was far from over. The world was still in turmoil, and they had a long way to go before true peace could be achieved. The Zorathians watched from their ship, pressed by humanity's resilience. Commander Lyra felt a sense of hope. They have shown great strength today, but they will need more than strength to survive what comes next. Kor agreed. They must learn to work together, not just in battle, but in peace. It is the only way to ensure a brighter future. As the sun set on the battlefield, Alex and Mia stood together, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. They had fought bravely, but the real work was just beginning. Together, they would strive to rebuild and create a world where such conflicts would be a thing of the past. The sun rose slowly over the battlefield, casting a warm glow on the remnants of war. Alex Thompson stood on a hill overlooking the site of the recent conflict. The air was still, but the echoes of battle lingered. He felt a mixture of pride and sadness as he remembered the struggle they had faced. After the victory, the world had begun to change. The fighting had stopped, but the scars of war remained. Alex knew that rebuilding would take time and effort. They had won the battle, but now they needed to win the peace. Mia Johnson joined him, her expression thoughtful. We have a lot of work ahead of us, Alex. We need to start the healing process for both our soldiers and the civilians affected by the war. Alex nodded. I know. We have to focus on unity. If we want to prevent future conflicts, we must show everyone that we can work together. In the days that followed, Alex and Mia began to organize relief efforts. They reached out to neighboring countries, offering help to those who had been affected by the war. It was crucial to build bridges instead of walls. They held meetings with leaders from various nations, sharing plans for rebuilding communities and providing aid. Slowly, the world began to come together, united by a common goal: peace. As they worked, Alex met with the soldiers who had fought bravely in the battle. He listened to their stories, understanding their pain and fears. Each soldier had lost something in the fight, whether it was friends, family, or a sense of safety. Mia organized workshops to help soldiers process their experiences. It's important for them to talk about what they went through, she explained. Healing starts with sharing. The soldiers found comfort in each other's stories. They formed bonds that would last a lifetime, united by their shared experiences. Alex felt proud to see them supporting one another. Meanwhile, the Zorothians continued to observe from their ship. Commander Lyra felt a sense of pride in humanity's resilience. They are learning to work together, she said to her officers. But they must also learn to forgive. Kor, her second-in-command, replied, "Forgiveness is difficult, especially after such a conflict. They will need guidance." Lyra considered this. Perhaps it is time for us to make contact. Need to know they are not alone in the universe. Back on Earth, Alex and Mia prepared for a global summit, where leaders from around the world would gather to discuss lasting peace. They worked tirelessly, crafting a message of unity and hope. On the day of the summit, the atmosphere was electric, with anticipation. Leaders from different countries arrived, some with hope and others with skepticism. Alex stood at the podium looking out at the crowd. "Ladies and gentlemen," he began, his voice steady, "we have faced a great challenge, and we have overcome it together. But now we must ensure that this kind of conflict never happens again. We must choose cooperation over division." The crowd listened intently as Alex spoke. He shared stories of bravery and sacrifice, highlighting the strength of the human spirit. Mia joined him on stage, sharing her vision of a world where science and technology could be used for peace. After their speeches, the room erupted in applause. It was clear that the message resonated with many. Leaders began to discuss ways to collaborate, sharing ideas for trade, education, and cultural exchange. As the summit continued, Alex felt a sense of hope. They were on the path to building a better future. But he knew it would take time and effort to heal the wounds of war. After the summit, Alex and Mia received an unexpected message from the Zorothians. They wanted to meet. Alex felt a mix of excitement and fear. "What if they don't accept us?" he asked Mia. "They will see our willingness to change," she replied. "We have shown we can work together, and we must show them that we are ready to be part of a larger community." When the day of the meeting arrived, Alex and Mia stood in front of a group of Zorothian representatives. Commander Lyra stepped forward, her blue skin shimmering under the light. "We have watched your progress with great interest," she said. "You are beginning to understand the importance of unity." Alex took a deep breath. "Thank you for witnessing our journey. We are ready to learn and grow. We want to be part of the larger community of worlds." Lyra nodded. "We can offer you knowledge and support. But you must also promise to use your strength for good, not for conflict." The humans and Zorothians began to discuss their plans for collaboration. They shared ideas about technology, healthcare, and education. The meeting was filled with excitement and hope as both sides realized the potential of working together. As the days turned into weeks, the relationship between humans and Zorothians blossomed. They worked on joint projects that benefited both species. Alex and Mia traveled to different countries, sharing their experiences and promoting the message of peace. The world began to change. People were more open to cooperation, and nations started to focus on solving problems together. The scars of war slowly healed, replaced by a new sense of hope. Back on the Zorothian ship, Lyra watched as the humans thrived. "They are capable of great things," she remarked to her officers. "But they must continue to choose peace over conflict." Kor agreed. "It is a fragile balance. We must remain vigilant." As time went on, the bond between the two species grew stronger. They celebrated cultural festivals, shared scientific discoveries, and worked side by side to improve their worlds. Alex and Mia often reflected on how far they had come. They had faced darkness and despair, but together they had chosen a different path. They had built a new future, where cooperation and understanding were the foundation of their lives. One evening, as they stood on a balcony overlooking a peaceful city, Alex turned to Mia. "We did it. We turned a moment of chaos into something beautiful." Mia smiled, her eyes shining with hope. "And this is just the beginning. There is so much more we can achieve together." As the sun set, casting a warm glow over the horizon, Alex and Mia knew that their journey was far from over. They had learned that true strength lies in unity, and together, they would continue to build a brighter future for all. The sun rose over the city of New York, casting a golden glow on the skyscrapers. People hurried to work, their faces tired but determined. Among them was Alex Thompson, a military strategist known for his sharp mind and quick thinking. He felt a heavy weight on his shoulders. The world was changing, and not for the better. Tensions between nations had grown. Whispers of war filled the air. Alex arrived at the United Nations building, where representatives from around the globe gathered for an emergency meeting. As he walked through the crowded halls, he noticed the worried expressions on the faces of diplomats. The room was tense, filled with the sharp sound of chairs scraping against the floor as people took their seats. The Secretary General, a tall man with a serious demeanor, stood at the front of the room. "Thank you all for coming at such short notice," he began. "You're facing a crisis unlike any we have seen before. Resources are dwindling and conflicts are rising. We must find a way to prevent war." Alex listened closely as each representative spoke. Some called for peace talks, while others demanded military action. He could see the divisions growing like cracks in a fragile surface. The more they talked, the more he feared that war was inevitable. After the meeting, Alex met with Mia Johnson, a brilliant scientist who had been working on new energy weapons. Her long brown hair fell over her shoulders, and her green eyes sparkled. With determination, "Alex, we need to be ready," she said, her voice steady. "If war breaks out, we must have the technology to protect ourselves." "I know, Mia," Alex replied, rubbing his temples. "But these weapons could cause massive destruction. We need to find a way to avoid conflict, not escalate it." Mia nodded but looked unconvinced. "I understand, but if we don't prepare, we might be caught off guard. The world is changing fast." As they left the building, the weight of their conversation hung in the air. They walked down the busy streets, where news of rising tensions flashed across screens and storefronts. People stopped to read headlines that screamed of impending war. Alex felt a knot tighten in his stomach. Meanwhile, far away in the depths of space, the Zerothians watched Earth with great interest. The alien race had observed humanity for centuries, fascinated by its progress and flaws. Commander Lyra, a tall figure with shimmering blue skin and large, expressive eyes, stood before a group of her officers. They monitored the events on Earth. With advanced technology, seeing the chaos unfold in real time, "The humans are on the brink of war," Lyra said, her voice calm but firm. "Their capacity for destruction is remarkable, but they are also capable of great compassion. We must decide how to respond." An officer named Kor raised a hand. "Should we intervene? They may destroy themselves before they realize the value of peace." Lyra considered this. "We must be careful. If we reveal ourselves now, it could lead to panic. Humans do not react well to the unknown. Instead, let us observe and learn." Back on Earth, the situation worsened. Countries began to take sides, forming alliances and preparing for potential conflict. Alex and Mia worked tirelessly to develop their technology, knowing that time was running out. One evening, while reviewing plans in a secure facility, Mia looked up from her computer. "Alex, I think I've found something. This new energy weapon could change everything. It could disable enemy technology without causing widespread destruction." Alex leaned closer, intrigued. "How does it work?" Mia explained her idea, her excitement growing. "Instead of a traditional explosion, it creates a pulse that disrupts electronics. It could give us the upper hand without the loss of life that comes with conventional warfare." Alex's mind raced. This could be the solution they needed, but he wondered about the consequences. What if it falls into the wrong hands? "We need to ensure it is used for defense only," Mia agreed. "I will work on safeguards, but we must act quickly. If war breaks out, we will need every advantage we can get." As they prepared their defenses, the Zorthians continued their watch. They sent scouts to gather more information about human military strategies and alliances. Lyra studied the humans closely, noting their determination and fierce loyalty to one another. "Look at how they rallied together," Lyra said to her officers. "Despite their differences, they unite when faced with a common threat. It is both admirable and frightening." Core nodded. They are a resilient species. Perhaps there is hope for peace after all. Back on Earth, Alex and Mia received news that a nation had launched a surprise attack on its neighbor. The world gasped in shock. It was the first strike of what many feared would become a full-scale war. Alex felt his heart race as he watched. The reports. This is it, Mia. We have to act now. They rushed to the military command center, where leaders gathered to discuss their response. The atmosphere was electric with fear and uncertainty. Alex presented Mia's weapon, explaining how it could turn the tide in their favor without causing mass destruction. Some leaders were skeptical, while others embraced the idea. We need to show strength, one general said. Cannot let them think we are weak. As tensions mounted, Alex stood firm. Strength without purpose can lead to more destruction. We must use this weapon wisely. With the fate of nations hanging in the balance, Alex and Mia prepared for the inevitable. The words of the Secretary General echoed in Alex's mind. We must find a way to prevent war. But as the first shots were fired, it seemed that hope was slipping away. The Zerothians watched in silence, their understanding of humanity deepening with each passing moment. They knew that the outcome of this conflict would shape the future of both Earth and the galaxy in the heart of the storm. Alex and Mia faced the reality of a world on the brink of war. They were determined to protect their people, but wondered if they could find a way to peace before it was too late.